Hi, my name's Clare. I'm sharing some of my thoughts and experiences that I've had during my cancer journey in the hope it may help to encourage, inspire, motivate others, as well as perhaps diminish some fears around the journey and process, and actually to tap into the notion that it might be the best thing that's ever happened to you. It might. For me, it feels like that already. And I knew from the start of my cancer journey that it was part of my spiritual path. I had 3 days of being off balance, my mind, going to negativity, which I'll share in another recording, because when I look back on that now, some of the fear thoughts that we have can be quite interesting. But once I dropped those fears, and I had fear around when I was being the testings, that wasn't constant. I was up and down during that time. But once I had my final diagnosis and I was on board with what I was doing and I'd made my decisions, very empowered, and now I feel more in my power than at any other time in my life, and I feel more liberated, and I feel more free than I have ever had at any other time in my life. And I probably, even though I have had some, there are signs within my body that I've been going through a lot of treatment, which I have. Even I'm dealing with it really, really well. I still feel probably the healthiest I've ever felt, and that is because I'm in my alignment physically and mentally and emotionally, I believe. So really, I believe, and that is what heals your body. And so I probably don't need any of the medication I'm having right now. It's a just in case, but because my body is dealing with it so well and I'm tuning into my body, I'm letting my body decide, I'm going with it. I also obviously offer it up, and I was advised, my guide was cover yourself. So I'm covering myself, and it feels good. So I know I can stop at any time, but all the time it feels good for me, I'll carry on. If it doesn't, I'll stop. So, that decision lies with me. And I think that's what I really want to get across to people. You don't need to be dragged through helplessly through the medical pathway, but you can still choose to take it, and you can choose to pick and choose. And that's where I'm coming from, this integrated approach. It might be that the medical path isn't right for you, and that's fine too. But we don't need to judge anybody's choices. And I think I've read books on the alternative side that have made me feel really judged. And scared about taking any medical input. So, and then obviously there's people that really dread the idea of somebody they know going alternative, thinking that you have to take the medical road, and if you don't, it's really bad. And actually, everybody is on their own paths, and what's important is that anybody makes their own decisions, and that can be really hard. I think that's where the empowerment comes, is how do you make a decision that's in your alignment? Well, you have to be in your alignment first. And how do you get into your alignment? Well, you need to be quite healthy, you need to be mentally healthy, and you need to be physically healthy. So the first thing, as soon as you even suspect that you might have cancer, in fact prevention is better than cure in the first place, but this is why being healthy and balanced is so important. Doesn't make you immune from illnesses and disease, but when they come, you can navigate them much more clearly and with clarity and with a surety, and that helps your healing. So being as healthy as you possibly can undoubtedly makes a huge difference, if not all the difference, to your outcome, to your journey, to how you feel during the journey, to how you live your life during the journey. I've had an amazing year. I've possibly had the best year of one of. I've had lots of wonderful times, but it's been no worse and better than, not that we need to compare, but I've had a wonderful year, let's just say that, and I'm navigating. It's an HER2 positive, stage 3 breast cancer, and I've had a great year. I've had, a few blips, but that's all been part of the greatness, because I've learned from them all and I've come back from them all. They've taught me how much I am in my truth and in my alignment. And obviously I've learned about all the wonderful friends and support that I've got, and actually that's amazing, and I know they're there, but ultimately I'm there for myself. And that is so liberating and so empowering. Anyway, talking about the power of language, And I think we need to be careful with any resources that we're taking on board when we're going through. Well, my experience is cancer. It will be the same for other people that are going through other diagnoses. And reading all the side effects, all the things that can go wrong. Well, where's all the list of all the things that can go right? Where's all the list of all the things how you can liberate yourself, how you can empower yourself, how you can change your lifestyle to help? I asked my the man, he's a surgeon, a breast surgeon who delivered the news that I had cancer, and I asked him if I enhanced my diet, would that help? And he said it's good to be healthy, but it won't make any difference. And of course, I know that's not true. I don't need anybody to tell me. I don't need any scientific study to prove that to me. I know categorically from my experience that it makes a huge difference. I probably would have fared pretty well anyway because I was already healthy going into this. Yoga practitioner, teacher. I've been reading spiritual books for 20 years, very spiritual path. Physically healthy, always exercise. So I was going into it reasonably healthy, but clearly I had an imbalance to have got it in the first place. But I believe mine was more emotional and stress related rather than lifestyle, though that is part of your lifestyle. But I know that improving and enhancing my nutrition, taking it up, 5 or 6 notches now has made a huge difference. And the cleaner my body's become, the cleaner my mind's become, and it has led to spiritual awakenings. So now I can really fully understand why when people are on a really spiritual path, they don't eat so much. They don't, they live off little because your energy is coming from your breath and that's raising your vibration, your spirituality. So I'm going to talk about myths around chemotherapy on another video, but right there's the myth that you need to eat to keep your energy levels up. And yeah, you need to take on board substance. And I do know, and when you're on chemo, anybody that tells you to juice all the way through chemo hasn't had chemo because there are some days when you just really don't want to juice. And your taste buds change and so I just listened to my body and did what I wanted to do on each day, and I did juice sometimes, but I didn't others, and I never followed one thing strictly. I went into my own truth and what was right for me, and that made me feel great. But where I've been so clean for so long now, it's like I'm still seeing reality in a different way all the time. Anyway, power of language. So being careful about the resources that we turn to and perhaps putting some distance between ourselves and that information, because what's happened to somebody else won't necessarily be our journey and our story. But one of the breast care nurses said to me early on, this was early on, around my diagnosis time, she said, your body's let you down. Your body has let you down. So imagine if I hung on to that and took that with me during now what I've just gone through, which is my high dose chemo, 9-hour infusions, 2 immunotherapies, breast cancer surgery, full lymph node clearance. Then I'm now on a low dose chemo and immunotherapy combined, Clare, I think it's called. Now I'm on radiotherapy. Imagine if I'd been all the way through that thinking my body's let me down, and sending that into my body, that mantra into my body, your body's let you down. How disempowering is that? You need your body now more than ever before. You and your body are a team. You are inextricably linked. You cannot separate your mind from your body. So whatever you're thinking is affecting your cells. So your body hasn't let you down. Your body's given you valuable information that you need to be able to restore it back to balance. It's very simple. Cancer is an imbalance of our cells. Something's created an imbalance and we can bring it back to balance. And whether we choose to have some medication to help that journey is up to us. That was my truth, and it feels and sits right for me. But of course, we can be supporting our bodies in so many different ways to return it to balance and to healing. And we can learn from it, and we can feel empowered from it, and we can feel liberated from it. We can free ourselves from it. We can have a better future because of it. So You know, all this fear around cancer, how do we know it's not going to be the best thing that's ever happened to us? How do we know that because we listen into our bodies and do make our lifestyle changes and empower ourselves and eat more cleanly and live more cleanly, how do we know that we're not going to have a longer life because of our cancer diagnosis? Again, all of the literature tells you you've got. So for me, if I do a search now, what are my chances of survival in the next 5 years? It will tell me I've got a 23% chance of being dead in the next 5 years. Imagine if I hung on to that and kept telling myself that. Then my cells are listening to that. What are the chances of my cancer returning compared to somebody who's in their own power, who's eating really well, who's feeling really good, who's feeling alive, who's feeling like they've got a life purpose and a value, and who's not hanging on to any projections? Surely that it makes sense that thought pattern is far more in alignment, far more feeding a balance between emotions and body and mind. Anything that creates stress in the body is harmful. Fear is stress producing. And so my suggestion would be to, of course, inform yourselves, ask the questions, gather the information, see the charts, but see them for what they are, know where they've come from. You don't have to be in that statistic. And if you are actually doing all the other stuff that you can do outside of the medical programme, then you're not fitting into that anyway. But we do need to treat cancer with respect. I think it is important that, because if the less balanced you are, I think the more you're going to need integration, because I do believe anybody can heal themselves from within. I feel like I probably already have. In fact, I feel like I already have. That's my truth. But I am covering myself because that's the guidance that came through for me, and it feels good that I'm doing that, and I feel really well doing that. And if I didn't, then I would tune in again and decide. So it's that kind of idea of taking one step at a time. So I do think it's important to gather the information and get it from reliable sources and then make your own mind up. But don't hang on to the 5-year charts and the 10-year charts. I did a search on what's the longest anybody survived with a stage 3 breast cancer. Nothing came up. It wasn't there. Nothing came up on Google. So, where's the balance? Why don't they say this is, but look, here's somebody who survived 30 years and they've had a wonderful life. No, nobody's sharing that. And there will be people that have. So, let's change the story. Let's change the language. Let's drop the fear as far as we can. I know that's very challenging and it's a challenge for a lot of people. But hopefully I can show you that I don't have any fear at all. I visualise nothing but a positive, bright and amazing, fulfilled, abundant, joyous future for myself. And if it is cut, what we term short, then I've still lived this year has been a really good year for me. So, that's the two choices. I could have labelled it a really bad year and had a bad experience. But that's not serving me. Even if my life is going to be cut short, it's not serving me. So we can feel joyous and abundant and lucky and thrive whilst we navigate what we label as being adversities on the path. So I hope that's given some people some food for thought, hopefully some inspiration, some encouragement. I'm with you, I hear you, I feel you. I know it isn't easy, but it's possible. And when it becomes natural, actually it is easy. When it's natural, and I've done a lot of practice to get here. So meditations, yoga nidras, tuning in, physical practices, as well as listening to my body, makes all the difference, no matter what your life situation is, because the more you tune in to your own inner wisdom and realise that you can connect yourself to source at any time in your life, and when you do, it will change everything, then the freer you're going to feel no matter what is going on in your lives. And that's been my experience. So good luck, everybody, and sending you lots of love as always.